I'm 94 years old now, and there's a strange kind of quiet that comes with reaching this age. Not the peaceful kind people talk about in books. It's quieter than that, thinner. Like most of the noise has already happened, and what's left is just the echo of it. Sighs. I wake up earlier than I need to. My body does that on its own. The room is still dark when I open my eyes, and for a few seconds, I forget where I am. Then it comes back to me slowly. The same ceiling, the same chair in the corner, the same life, just smaller now. Pause. I don't have much ahead of me. You know that at 94. You stop pretending otherwise. And when you know that, really know it, certain things begin to fall away on their own. Things you spent decades holding on to without even realizing how tightly your hands were clenched. Thoughtful. There are things I stopped caring about, not all at once. It wasn't some grand decision. It happened slowly, almost quietly, the way most important things do. The first thing was what other people think of me. It sounds obvious, doesn't it? People say it all the time, but I didn't actually stop caring until my late 70s. Before that, I built entire days around it, sometimes entire years. I remember being 32, standing in my kitchen, worried sick about what my neighbor thought of my curtains. Can you imagine that? Curtains. I had just moved into that house with my husband. We couldn't afford much, but I wanted everything to look right, presentable, acceptable. I thought if people approved of me, it meant I was doing life correctly. So I smiled when I didn't feel like smiling. I agreed when I wanted to say no. I wore things that made me uncomfortable just because they were appropriate. I spent so much time adjusting myself to fit into rooms that didn't even matter in the end. And you know what happened? Most of those people forgot me anyway. Some moved away. Some passed on. Some probably never thought about me as much as I imagined they did. All that worrying, all that shaping myself for people who were busy living their own lives. I wish I had understood that sooner. The second thing I let go of was the need to be right. That one cost me more than I like to admit. My husband and I used to argue about the smallest things, nothing dramatic, just daily life, where to put things, how to handle money, what was said, what wasn't said. I kept score. Quietly, but I did. I wanted to win those little battles. I wanted to be the one who was right. There was one night, I must have been around 45, we had an argument over something I can't even remember now. Isn't that the funny part? I don't remember what it was about, but I remember how it felt. We went to bed angry, turned away from each other. The room felt colder than usual, and sometime during the night, I woke up and looked at his back. Just his back, rising and falling with his breathing. And I had this brief thought, what if one day he's not here, and this is what I chose to hold on to? But I didn't say anything. I went back to sleep. Years later, when he was gone, that moment came back to me. Not because of what we argued about, but because of what I didn't do. I didn't turn toward him. I didn't soften. Being right felt important then. It doesn't feel important now. The third thing I stopped caring about was perfection. I chased it in ways that didn't even make sense. The perfect home, the perfect meals, the perfect way of raising my children. I ironed things that didn't need ironing. I redid work that was already good enough. I exhausted myself trying to smooth out every wrinkle in a life that was never meant to be wrinkle-free. My daughter once told me, she must have been around 16, "You're always fixing things that aren't broken." I didn't like hearing that. It felt like criticism. But she was right. Perfection is a moving target. You think you've reached it, and then it shifts just a little further away. So you keep going, and in the process you miss what's already there. Now at 94, I look at the small imperfections around me, the chipped cup I still use, the uneven stitching on an old pillow, and they feel honest, real, enough. The fourth thing was the idea that I had to be busy all the time. I filled my days to the brim, not because I loved everything I was doing, but because I thought being busy meant I was valuable. If I sat still for too long, I felt guilty, like I was wasting something. So I said yes to things I didn't have the energy for. I volunteered when I needed rest. I kept moving, even when my body was asking me to slow down. It took me a long time to understand that being busy and being meaningful are not the same thing. Some of the most meaningful moments in my life were the quiet ones. Sitting with my mother in her final days, watching my children play without interrupting them, holding my husband's hand without saying a word. None of those moments looked productive, but they were full in a way that busyness never was. The fifth thing I let go of was holding on to resentment. That one sat in me for years. Heavy, quiet, stubborn. There were people who hurt me, some knowingly, some not. And I carried those moments with me like proof of something. I replayed conversations in my head, thought about what I should have said, what they should have done differently. It felt justified. It felt like I was protecting myself somehow. But all it really did was keep me tied to those moments long after they had passed. I remember one woman in particular, a friend, or at least I thought she was. Something happened between us. I won't go into it now, and we stopped speaking. Years went by, decades even, and one day I heard she had passed away. I sat there, holding that news, and realized there would be no resolution, no final conversation, no clearing of the air, just a long stretch of silence that neither of us had crossed. That was the day I understood that holding on to resentment doesn't preserve anything. It just leaves things unfinished. The sixth thing I stopped caring about was trying to please everyone. That one is tied closely to the first, but it goes deeper. I wanted to be liked, not just accepted, liked. I wanted to be the kind of person people spoke well of when I wasn't in the room. So I adjusted myself constantly. Different versions of me for different people. It was exhausting, though I didn't admit it at the time. And the truth is, no matter how much you try, you won't please everyone. Someone will always misunderstand you. Someone will always want something different from you. I learned that the hard way. There came a point, much later in life, when I simply didn't have the energy for it anymore. And when I stopped trying so hard, something interesting happened. The people who truly cared about me stayed. The rest drifted away. It wasn't as painful as I thought it would be. It was clarifying. The seventh thing I let go of was comparing my life to others. That habit followed me for years. I compared homes, marriages, children, achievements. Quietly, of course. I never said it out loud, but it was always there. This subtle measuring. I would look at someone else's life and think, they're doing better. They figured it out. But you never really know the full story of someone else's life. You see the surface, the parts they choose to show. I spent so much time looking sideways that I didn't fully look at what was right in front of me. My own life, my own moments, my own people. Now, when I think back, I don't remember those comparisons. I remember specific moments. A laugh at the dinner table, a quiet afternoon, a hand held at the right time. Those things don't compare. They just exist. And the eighth thing, the last one, was the belief that I had endless time. This one is the hardest to talk about. When you're young, time feels like something that stretches out in every direction. Even when you know in theory that it's limited, you don't feel it. So you delay things. You say, I'll call her tomorrow. I'll visit next month. I'll say what I need to say later, when the moment is better. I did that. More times than I can count. I assumed there would always be another chance. But life doesn't always give you another chance. There were conversations I never had. Apologies I never made. Words I thought I had more time to say. And then the moment passed. The person was gone. The door closed. And there's no going back to knock on it. That's something you learn too late. Now I sit here, at 94, with fewer things to worry about, but a clearer view of what mattered all along. It wasn't the opinions. It wasn't the arguments. It wasn't the perfection or the busyness or the comparisons. It was the small, ordinary moments that I sometimes rushed through without realizing they were the ones that would stay. If you're listening to me now, wherever you are, at whatever age, I won't tell you what to do. Life doesn't work that way. But I will say this, pay attention to what you're holding on to. Ask yourself if it will still matter when you're sitting where I am. Some things will, most things won't. And the ones that won't, they take up more space than they deserve. I don't have many years left. I can feel that in the quiet of my mornings. But I do have this clarity now, this gentle understanding that came slowly over time through choices I can't undo. I don't say this with bitterness, just honesty. If this meant something to you, even a little, then maybe that's enough. Because in the end, it's the small shifts that change the shape of a life. And sometimes letting go is the only way to finally see what was there all along.